Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Poets and Quants' Online MBA panel. Today, we're talking about finding the right online MBA program for you. Please feel free to use the Q&A function to submit any questions you may have for our panelists. I'll do my best to get to those at the end of the session. We're going to begin by getting to know our panelists that are joining us today, and welcome everyone. First, we have Rebecca Lodes, Director of Career Accelerator Programs at Esmt Berlin. Dr. George Langler, Associate Professor of Management at Durham University Business School, and Jim Barry, Director of UCL School of Management MBA. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us. We'll dive right in with the basics. Rebecca, tell us a bit about your program, how long it's been around, how long it takes to complete, the level of flexibility, that kind of thing.
Thank you so much, and it's lovely to meet you, Christy. Sorry, you can hear that I'm in a shared office, so apologies for the sneezes in the background. This is real life intruding. So, I guess I'm probably the youngest or the newest kid on the block. So, the Esmt Berlin Global Online MBA we actually launched last September. So far we've had 2 intakes, September and in May. We are a 2 to 5 year program. So this is a highly flexible program where if you decide that you're going to do everything completely back to back and not take any breaks or pauses, then it's 24 months. If, however, you decide that, you've got a big project at work coming up, you have family commitments, you have some big life events, then you can say, actually, I'm going to pause my studies now and I will return to the program. And so that degree of flexibility is something that we find that our students really do. It helps them navigate effectively. How do you integrate, studying on an online MBA program alongside all of your other commitments, which we are all juggling?
All right. George, same question to you.
Thank you very much, Chrissy. Good to see you, Jim and Rebecca. Well, the University Business School Online MBA program, it's been around for quite a long time. It's a program that has been ranked 7th in the world by the Financial Times MBA list, online MBA list. It has been consistently ranked 7th for the last 3 years. And it's a program that takes 24 months to complete. Obviously, again, if students decide not to take any suspension, because sometimes they change jobs, they have other commitments that can come, that can happen during the program. But if they decide to take the full program with no suspensions, they will take 24 months. This is a part-time program. What we ask in terms of commitments per week is around 15 hours a week, which means that they can keep up with their job, with family, other commitments, and around 15 hours. It's not that there's no, I would say, obligation in terms of everything is asynchronous. We have some webinars, synchronous webinars, live webinars, but for example, if students have any other commitments or, for example, meetings or anything else that they cannot attend the webinars, all webinars will be recorded so that they can watch later. The other thing is that what students have to do, they have to complete 6 core modules in the initial 14 months. After they finish those 6 core modules, which is marketing, strategy, operations technology, ethics, and human resources, which is the leading and managing people. When they finish the 6 core modules, they have to choose 2 optional modules, and then finally what we call the strategic consulting project. So this is will take 24 months. In a nutshell, this is our program.
Very good. Jim, how about you?
Well, I guess we land in the middle of George and Rebecca's programs. We started in the fall of 2019 at UCL. UCL is a 45,000 person university, ranked 8th in the world as an overall university, and the School of Management is recently been ranked as the 3rd best business school. We started this program with the intent of really bringing a classroom environment to the online piece. A key aspect of online MBA learning is the interactivity. So we did that. We have 65 active students right now. We're growing our cohorts. We have 2 intakes, one in the fall and one in the spring. Our program is flexible. Our students can take it. We've actually had a student finish it in 21 months, but they can take up to 5 years to do the program. And it is flexible so that students, as they are working professionals, and that's what our program is geared towards, is working professionals, they can take one term, and if their workload is very heavy, they can take that off. If they have a lighter workload, they can take up to three modules a term. And doing that, they can finish the program in 2 years or under. We have 12 taught modules, and then you take a capstone project, which is a future focused project. And that's been the focus of our MBA program, is data-centric, future focused. So we're very excited about that, and the students have a lot of flexibility within the program to take it.
Great, thank you all for that overview. George, we'll switch now to student experience. Just kind of explain what the student experience is like, if there's an on-campus opportunity, is there an emphasis on team or individual work? What can students expect?
Great, I think this is a very good question. Students can take all modules, the core and optional modules online. But we also offer the opportunity for students to come to Durham. So they can choose some of the modules, as we call block taught modules. So they would come to Durham to take any of the modules over 3 or 4 days in one particular week. So if obviously they take the block taught module, let's speak, for example, leading and managing people, rather than taking the module, online module over 12 weeks, they would do that in Durham to experience the campus, to get in touch with us, to get in touch with their colleagues over 3 or 4 days. This is the opportunity they have. The other thing that we do is, when it comes to the optional modules, 2 of our optional modules, including the new venture creation and the international business context modules, those 2 modules are taught internationally. So they would go, in the case of new venture creation, they would go to San Francisco. They would take that module for a week. They travel to San Fran. They would have seminars there. They would have company visits, talks with people from the industry. And it's the same thing with the international business context module. They would go to a particular place. This year it was in Germany and in France. So to experience all those things. So it's much more than just online things. But I think it's also relevant to say, Christy, that we have here an office, which is an opportunity for students to think their career. We have this career service to help students think or plan their career ahead. For example, if they want to change jobs, or if they want to start a new business, or if they want to change industries and sectors, for example, our people here will help them think of these new opportunities they may have.
Great. Jim, same question.
No, I think students have 3 great programs represented here. So there are fantastic opportunities through all the different programs, and I really do encourage students to look all the way across. One of the things that we look at with the student experience is, when we tried to create a true classroom experience online, we are 50% asynchronous learning, 50% synchronous learning, which means that whenever you take a class with us, you will be in a digital classroom, meaning in Zoom, with a faculty member, one of our faculty members, for an hour and a half every week. So if a class is normally taught in 3-hour blocks where you might have seminars and lecture time, we separate out the lecture time, where a faculty member is giving you information, into recorded information that you take asynchronously. You can watch that at any time during your week. We even have it on an app. You can watch it while you're on the tube or in transit. Please not while driving. But then you come into class, and everybody is prepared in class, and a faculty member will show up with, on average, about 1 faculty member to 15 students. So our classes are limited to 20 students total, but we average about 15. And at that point, then you have a live discussion about the content. And this is what I'm talking about, an MBA student experience. An MBA is not something you can learn from a book. It's not something you can learn from just somebody feeding you information. You have to play with it. You have to interact with it. And part of the value of an MBA, which I was glad to hear Durham with their, taking the modules at another location, is that interactivity piece. And that's something that we encourage on a weekly basis with our students. So it's not, you're not emailing a faculty member to get interaction. You're in a room like this talking together with a live faculty member and getting that feedback back. We also have the opportunity to come together through orientations and immersions. Orientations are when students are brought to London and they engage with this large international university, 45,000 students. So we connect our students to the broader university. You're not just this online thing. You're getting your degree from UCL. You're a UCL student. You have UCL student ID. You get anywhere on campus. We have actually students who do their work out of our offices, out of our campus. And then our immersions are opportunities where we travel and we go and see different industries in locations. So you might do 4 or 5 days in Silicon Valley. You might do 4 or 5 days, hopefully once pandemic is done, in Beijing, learning about international trade and how does that work. So there are those live opportunities to come up, but we actually encourage that interaction every single week through our interactive classroom times. And I think that's really part of an MBA without that live component is really hard to get the maximum value out of.
Thank you. Rebecca, tell us about your student experience.
Indeed. And actually I'm just going to hark back a little bit in terms of kind of the structure of our program, because that's something that both George and Jim talked about in terms of theirs, but it was also something I mentioned in terms of the Esmt Berlin Global Online MBA. So there's a total of 6 modules within this. So everyone starts with the same module, which is effectively managing a connected world. So this is really kind of easing you into that study journey, getting you used to studying online, actually getting you to meet your fellow classmates and the cohort through which you will be studying. Then you get a choice of 4 core modules. And what we've done is we've structured those modules so they're helping you to answer specific business issue. So it could be about making wiser decisions. It could be around creating strategic advantage. So some of the challenges which you will be facing within your work career, either at that point in time or in the future, and approaching them from a very holistic kind of perspective. So decision making can be, obviously, there's the numbers, there's the data, there's the how do I extract meaning and insights from the data. However, the data may be one thing, but actually that happens within an organizational context. So how do people influence decisions? So therefore we've got it in terms of the people side. And then you may say the numbers say one thing, we think we can do this, and then you go, but is that the right thing to do, because there is the societal impact. So that is how we structured our modules, to give you a way of looking at something from a different experience, different dimensions. And very much as Jim said, it's like you may be studying, so our program is 100% online. However, that does not mean studying alone, because we really do believe that learning is a social process. So this is something that happens as a result of interacting and working with other people. So therefore, within a module, you are assigned into a group. There will be 4 to 5 people within your group, and you are studying those 3 courses together. So you're building tight bonds, but for the next module, you'll be in a different group. So this gives you an opportunity to get to know more people within your program. We have professor sessions, we have tutor sessions, and those happen on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. So these are your opportunities to really engage in a more structured process. But we also have, in terms of the experience, we also have kind of like online socials. We have ways in which we bring you together. Our students are also, to us, I'm blown away by how much they do with each other as well as beyond the things that we ourselves kind of set up. They do have their own kind of like online socials. We have them meeting up in person as well, if that works. I can see Jim nodding. So clearly that's something that kind of we're seeing, that how they create those connections with each other. And while we are, as I said, an online, so we don't have a requirement to come to ESMT Berlin. You can complete your program without. However, and actually this is opportune, this week we have our Berlin Experience Week. So in our first cohort that started, so we had 47 students start last September, 34 of them have actually come to Berlin from Vancouver, from Tokyo to Tokyo, literally kind of coming here for a week to get to know each other, to learn about the German economy. I think very much, it's like to understand the economic history, to see how the principles that they're learning, Industry 4.0, how is this being put into practice? The hidden champions, those German kind of like leading companies that no one has ever heard of, but actually everyone has probably something in their home that's going to have components and parts from them. And so really, I think, it's like, I think clearly with Jim and George as well, what we're emphasizing is that an online program doesn't mean by any stretch of the imagination that you are sat in a room by yourself and there is nothing else. That is very much around that engagement with each other and also with the school, with faculty, and of course other students on other programs as well.
Christy, let me just add something to what Rebecca has just said. I think perhaps when applicants or candidates are about to apply for an online MBA, I think they think that it's something that exactly what Rebecca said, that would be on their own, working and studying on their own. And it's not like that. It's not because it's online that they have to be on their own. It's high interaction. They can interact with people. In our case, for example, we have drop-in sessions, we have webinars every week so that students can come. They will be allocated to small groups of students. So it's highly interactive, although they don't even have to come here. So they can come if they want this. As I mentioned before, they can do some of the modules in Durham on site. But if they don't want to come, they don't have to. But it's not that they would be working on their own. It's not like that. It's highly interactive.
Yeah, and I think that's a key thing for students looking at online programs to realize is this isn't the old school online offerings. We all may have slightly different offerings, but the level of education you're getting here, and again, an MBA isn't a degree where you're just taking facts out of a book. You've got to learn that stuff in context. And so being able to understand these ideas, if you work in the tech sector, understanding how a company in manufacturing is dealing with this, or a company in a different market across the globe. I love the fact, Rebecca, you mentioning, you students from Vancouver. I love teaching a class. Somebody in Japan's waking up at 3 a.m. to take class with somebody who's taking it at 11 a.m. in the United States, who is sitting with somebody who is here in the UK taking it at 7 p.m. And you do get this global piece that is amazing, because it's not people from those areas, it's people actually living in those areas. So when you ask what's happening there, they can look out their window and say it's happening outside right now. And that's been an amazing diversity piece that comes to the online classroom that, 10 years ago, I don't think they really envisioned that level of interactivity.
I think also kind of building on that as well, I think all three of our schools are based in Europe. One enormous advantage that European schools have is where we sit instead of time zones. So for example, we run our professor sessions, we run our kind of like our live hours twice. Once at lunchtime Berlin time, which is fantastic for those of our students who are based in Asia, who are based in Middle East, and then a second time in the early evening, which is fantastic for those students that are based in the Americas. And that way we are easily able to reach both groups. You can also, we have actual students kind of actually saying, I want to go and try this time and learn more about what the Americas folks are doing. And so therefore they can choose, but we are lucky, all three of us, in the fact that we are able to easily accommodate students from around the world. That means that they can join at a time that works for them, that does not require them to set the alarm for 2 or 3 in the morning, that they can genuinely kind of like come to us when they're actually awake and alert and able to contribute and share and learn from each other.
Very good. Important points there. Thank you guys so much. Jim, we're going to go back to you for some admission questions. Beyond the solid academic credentials, test scores, assessing, how do you assess a prospect's fit with the personality and demands of your MBA program? What are you looking for in terms of soft skills?
We're looking for people who want to learn. if a student comes and they say they want the letters MBA after their name and they don't have a reason why the experience is going to add to their career other than just, my job says I need these extra letters, we tell them go somewhere else. We only want people who are actively engaged in their learning in the program. So that's one. I would say that is the number one thing that I look for in applicants. And as the director of the MBA, I'm actually the final decider as to who gets in. And so I go through all of these applicants, their interviews, their processes, and those are some of the things we look for. We have an average of 15 years of experience. Now that is an average. We have some students who have 5 years of experience, but they've had a very rapid progression in their career. They're high flyers in their career. We also have C-suite executives taking our program, and they're mixed in our classrooms. And this is actually something we did on purpose. And the idea being is that that diversity of thought in the live interactive classes is part of the learning piece. And it's not just differences in markets or in industries or in location. It's difference of level. So the person who's the CFO of a multi-billion-pound company is learning from this high-flying manufacturing manager, and he's saying, you know what? People several levels below me are thinking like you, and I now understand what that means. And this person's looking up and saying, now I understand how the C-suite is thinking. And so that's another level of learning. But realistically, we tell students, if you're not ready to put in the work, if you're not here to learn, please go somewhere else. We are not a place that you are going to get a degree unless you put in the effort to learn what we're trying to put forward and to contribute as well.
Rebecca, how about you?
Yeah, I think I can. Very similar, you know. So obviously, it's really easy just to, you know, you look at someone's CV, you look at a test score. I think those things are valuable because also, I think you know, admissions is a mutual fit. This isn't just about us evaluating a candidate. It's also about that candidate evaluating us. And I suspect that Jim and George share this same philosophy. You do not want to have someone invested in your program, because when you invest in an MBA program, you're investing time, financial commitment, you're investing kind of dreams and hopes. We want to make sure that we are bringing the right people into the program who will thrive. Thriving means, am I vested in my own development? And for us, thriving also means, am I vested in supporting other people who are learning alongside me? Because we talked about the social process. This is about, I need to make certain that I am ready to share so that others can learn from me and I can learn from them. And that also means having an open mind. So therefore, you know, we're very lucky. We attract a very international group of individuals coming into the online MBA program. And so therefore they may be coming from one context, but they need to have the curiosity. They need to be looking into and wanting to understand things, or really wanting to push themselves. And that kind of curiosity is something that's fundamental, so that they will get more from the program itself. And I think also is kind of obviously very much like why are they doing? What is the driver behind doing this? So what would they like to get from the program itself? So it's thriving, but it's also, if someone says, I'm going to do my global online MBA and then I want to work in investment banking, to be honest, we're probably going to say, look, you know, we are not the right program for you. That is, we are not finance focused. We are a generalist management program. And so therefore, I think that it's an opportunity at admission for both parties to work out, are we going to fit together? Are we going to have fun on this 2 to 5 year journey together? And will this give me the possibility of advancing or accelerating my career as I wish to? And our stats, 38 years old average, 12 years of work experience. We're seeing a lot more kind of C-suite folks actually interested in this. So compared to we've had 2 intakes now. Our second intake, higher qualification, slightly older, higher level within their organizations. Some of them have got PhDs already. So we're getting a really interesting mix of people coming from all kinds of sectors.
Great. Jim, how about you?
I think George is next.
I
think it's I'll go after George for sure.
You get me honest, George.
Thanks, Christy. Very interesting points. I would like to say that the kind of person we're looking for now, that we want to attract, is those people who want to make a difference, who wants to contribute to their colleagues while they are here. regardless of what they want to do in the future. If they want to be entrepreneurs, if they want to work for a company, we want people who want to contribute. That's the important thing. And the most important reason for this is that we understand that students don't learn from us. They learn from each other, with each other. They will learn from the interaction. And I also have to put in context that we have a very international, very, I would say, a global group of students. In the last cohort, we attracted more than 30. We had students from more than 30 nationalities, which means that students have different ways of understanding and learning things. So we need people, we want to attract people who are able to work with other people, understand the differences, accept the differences, but also contribute to their peers and colleagues a learning process. That's what we want. People who are open-minded. In terms of experience, we have a very high caliber group of students. Some of them are at the C-level or will want to be at the C-level after the program. Some of them want to be entrepreneurs when they finish this. Some want to change careers. But the most important thing, we want to have people who want to make the difference.
I'm curious actually, George and Jim, sorry, because in terms of like one of the things that we're also seeing is in terms of the employer willingness to contribute. So this is something where we offer a part-time MBA, which is 25% in person on campus and 75% self-study versus the online. And I'm seeing a growing number of employers actually really interested in investing in their staff development, contributing to global online MBA fees, and also supporting students with giving them, like this week, the Berlin Experience Week, giving them time off. And I'm wondering if this is also something that you're seeing, which is kind of indicating how much employers are recognizing the value of studying in an online program.
We see that as well, and not only that, I think one of the benefits of doing an online MBA is you learn something in class and you can apply it immediately at work. Particularly, I don't know the number. We only have 1 or 2 students who is currently not working, and it's only because they are currently have sold a business and are looking to invest in another one. But most everybody else is either running their own business or is employed somewhere else. So they take the learning directly out of classroom and into work. And what we're seeing is the latest numbers I saw is 60% of our students get promoted while they're doing the MBA. So one of the measures of MBA programs is when you look at like full-time MBA programs, they look at 3 years out, what are the promotions and salary increases that we see? And we're actually not, you don't have to wait till you finish to get those. You're getting those while you're in the program. And so that's another piece, where we do see employers contributing to students coming in, but they're not just doing that. They're actually giving them raises and giving them promotions while they're in the program because they're seeing the value of it. And I think that's a key thing. Doing an online MBA, at least in our program, the vast majority of our people are either running their own industries or already CEOs, or they're growing within their careers and they're realizing they've gotten to a point where their career is moving fast enough that they need to understand a broader space of business. And so this degree is really to help them really leverage and take that next step up. And so, they might be on a sharp career curve, but they're looking to make that curve even sharper on the way up. George, sorry, I jumped in there. I got it really excited.
No,
you have anything to add to that, George?
No, that's all right. That's okay. Thank you.
Okay. I do want to skip a little bit ahead to this one question because we did get a similar question on our chat.
Yep.
And I think it's an important one. So we'll just stick with Jim on this one. How the online MBA compares to the full MBA program.
Yeah.
And also speak to content, career development, networking, that kind of thing. So Jim, go ahead. So
when you choose to do a full-time MBA, so let me start with this. You have a choice as to the type of MBA program you want to go to. A full-time MBA means that you are stepping out of your career and you're going somewhere full-time to interact on an everyday basis with a group of students and a group of faculty around this topic. And that is a great opportunity for those who really have that chance to step out. So, you have that massive opportunity to network. From an academic standpoint, online programs can have as deep a view as to course materials as any full-time program. Our program is 210 credits, which actually is 30 credits more than is required by UCL. Why? Because we actually were looking at what students needed and the options that we wanted to give them through our elective portfolio. And we felt to offer a top-end MBA, we wanted that extra flexibility for students to take more of those electives. So our classes, our faculty members have taught MBA programs all over the world, full-time, executive MBAs, and they are taking that level of classroom into our classrooms. Now, let me tell you, as you heard from Rebecca and George, there are many opportunities to network within the online environment. We have about 45% of our students are in the UK. The rest are globally. Those that are around the UK visit our campus on a regular basis. They go out to pub nights, they do those sort of things. But a vast majority of our students travel and are traveling more now that we're coming out of COVID. But before COVID, we're traveling. And that's one of the reasons why they took our program, is because, you know, if they wake up in a different continent, they can log in and be in class from their hotel room. And that's a flexibility that a full-time program doesn't offer. A full-time program, yes, may have more networking opportunities with your cohort, but that doesn't mean you don't have a lot of networking opportunities through the online offerings. And we offer many opportunities to facilitate those interactions.
George, how about you?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, Christy, I think the only difference is the flexibility. The flexibility that the online MBA programs offer is absolutely fantastic, and you don't have that while you're doing a full-time MBA program. If you decide to take a full-time MBA program, you have to come to Durham, you have to go to London, you have to go to Germany and stay for about 1 year there, because it's very intense and you have to be there, you must be there. While the online MBA program, you can take the program over 2 years with the flexibility that the online delivery mode offers you. And in terms of the opportunities for this particular, get in touch with your colleagues, get in touch with people, I think, and because let me go back to the technology allows us to have this opportunity of interaction with people. We offer many opportunities to, including to get in touch with the full-time MBA students. Over webinars, if they want to come here, if the online MBA students want to come to Durham, they will take some of the modules with the full-time MBA students. So it's highly interactive. I don't think that we lose anything in terms of possibility of interaction with people. So it's highly interactive. I don't think that this is the case. The only difference, in my view, is the flexibility that the online has that the full-time MBA students will not have. In terms of complexity, in terms of difficulty, I think it's the same. The materials that we offer, the teachers are the same. So people who teach the full-time MBA are the same people who will teach the online MBA. So again, I think the flexibility is the only thing.
Rebecca, what would you add?
I mean, so it's very similar to Jim and George. For us, when you earn your MBA from Esmt, and you do earn it, it's definitely hard work and you're putting that in. When you earn it, you get an MBA from Esmt. You don't get an online MBA or a full-time MBA. You are getting the same MBA. All three of our institutions, we are accredited, we are internationally recognized, because the common curriculum we teach is something which is fundamental, so that you are coming out with the same set of skills. It's really your learning modality and what you're able to do in terms of within your job and what you want to do afterwards, I would say. So, for example, full-time MBA, yes, you give up your job, you come to Germany. Typically, these are for students that are actually looking to build their career in Germany, in Europe and beyond. And so therefore, they are willing to make that big shift. But let's say that you are Vancouver. So I'll pick on Patrick, one of our students. Patrick's in Vancouver. he doesn't want to move to Germany. He would like the quality education. He would like to have that experience, but he is very happy in Vancouver, and therefore will be using it to advance his career and improve how he goes about and how he does things. And in terms of networking, I think one of the things which I think the recent couple of years have shown is that so much of our networking happens online anyway. So therefore, do you really need to meet in person in order to forge strong relationships, in order to build those initial connections? So I think, we are shifting in that way. And then again, as an ESMT Global Online MBA student, you are invited to all of our events, whether they are in person or they are online. We have career events, we have company visits, we have kind of like people, guest lecturers. We have all of these things are available to our student clubs. You're a part of our student clubs as well. You may not be co-located with us, but you are still a member of our community, and we make certain that you are included in what we offer, in basically the curricula, the co-curricula, but also the other stuff that goes on. And I think that that's really important. And I'm seeing kind of George and Jim nodding, because this is about, you are part of the community, and the community doesn't stop just within the group, within your program. It also encompasses the school, and also for us, and I'm sure the others as well, in terms of tapping into alumni networks and really building up your relationships with ESMT students, ESMT graduates, and ESMT alumni.
Very good.
Yeah, I think that networking is so key, and it goes multiple ways. When you're at a university, it isn't just the MBA program, it's the entire university that you're being a part of. Don't consider this that you're an online student separate from the university. You are part of that university. You just happen to take most of your classes online. And in fact, we've connected our MBA students to our students in our other business school programs. So 2,500 undergraduates and master's students at the School of Management, we're connecting with our MBA students. So our MBA students are recruiting students from our undergrad program to come work for them. So the networks work multiple directions when you're in an MBA program. It's not just networking up, it's networking down, it's networking sideways. And so all those opportunities are things that students should be looking for, and programs like ours offer those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
I think sorry, Christy, I think one of the things that we have to have in mind is that when these guys finish the online MBA, they will become alumni of any of these 3 universities. And these universities, such as Durham, UCL, and ESMT Berlin, they have alumni across the world. They will be part of the chapters, alumni chapters. And these people are always in contact with us, and we are in contact with them. At Durham University, we have a team service that will activate these people who will be in contact with them.
Great. Well, we're going to get through a couple of process questions here a little bit more quickly, just minding the time a little bit. Rebecca, tell me about some of the common application mistakes you see, and your advice on how to avoid making them.
Okay, I would say that I said that there were kind of 2 big issues that we sometimes see. The first is people who are not being authentic and are telling us what they think we want to hear versus who they are. And really, it's so fundamental because, as I said, the application process is a mutual getting to know each other. And so therefore, that means kind of being honest and truthful about who you are, and actually kind of talking and sharing. We're not expecting to have people that have done everything in their life in a perfect thing. It's actually really good when we talk about, okay, what's the things that you've learned? What are the mistakes you've made? What have you taken away from them? Because actually, the kind of like, that's how we grow. So authenticity is fundamentally important. And then the second is actually asking us questions where we have that information on the website. So effectively coming to us as though you've not really done your research, because clearly if you're interested in the program, hopefully by the point before you've decided to apply for the program, you've really thought about it. We are also an average of 15 hours of study a week. That is not a light undertaking. So having thought about how this is going to fit around your life, how you're going to manage both work and study family, friends, other commitments, and really thought about so that we can have a really constructive discussion when you have your interview with us, and we do interview our applicants, then that is what really is the way that you can stand out in the application and admission process.
Great. George, how about you?
I think the most important thing for us, Christy, as I said before, is how students have to tell us how they think the MBA will contribute to their life. So I think that's the most important thing. But they also have to convince us that they can contribute to our program, that they can contribute to their colleagues. So during the application process, it's not something that, well, these are my credentials and this is what I have done. Obviously, the previous managerial experience is an important thing, but also they have to show us that the online MBA program will be a relevant thing for them to achieve whatever they want to achieve in life, but also they have to show how they will contribute to the program and to their colleagues. There's one thing is very important. There's no interview when they apply for the online MBA program in Durham, but they have to tell the story. There's what we call a document. They have to fill out a form with this, where they have to answer these questions, how they will contribute and how the program will contribute to their life.
Okay. Jim, how about you?
I can be fairly short. We're a combination of Rebecca and George. We students who come who haven't understood what the program is, what that shows an application team is the fact that you don't prepare for what you're doing. You're looking to invest a lot of money and you haven't actually done any research on it. Those applicants are very easy to make a decision on. It shows a lack of motivation. It shows also a lack of due diligence. And those are things that I would expect any starting student to have. We do have questions around what do you want to do with the MBA? So understanding what an MBA is and how it fills a gap in what you're doing. You don't have to have all the answers. In fact, if you had all the answers, you wouldn't need the MBA. But we want to see that you're asking some of the right questions. And then part of that is also that interactivity. We do have an interview, and some of the questions we give you ahead of time. We give you a list of questions that might come up in the interview, but our interviews have follow-up questions. So, we'll dig deeper. And what does that mean for you? How did that feel when you had that experience? And so we're looking for that real genuine piece. And those are things that really weigh heavily in the thought of how much are you going to get out of the program? Because this is a mutual piece. We want students to be successful when they graduate. So we want students who are going to be able to take what we give them and move it forward. And we are looking for students who are going to be able to add to the diversity of the classroom, to that interactivity. So I'm sorry, I did say I was going to be short, didn't I? I am a faculty member,
and I'd like to just build on that last point actually in terms of the interviewing, because I think for us the interview is really important because it also gives the applicant an opportunity to ask questions that they thought of, that they kind of like in the course of that conversation. And also we want to make certain that they are able to think on the fly and contribute to discussions, because that effectively you need to make certain that everyone has a voice and is able to express themselves, and also to understand what their classmates are saying back to them. So it is something where we've been talking about it, but the interview is such an important part of our process actually for that mutual understanding, that it's something that kind of really is important to us.
Well, thanks for adding that. We do have 2 minutes left, so I want to get to an important question. If you guys can, be a little brief about it, but tell me about your, the admission cycles coming up briefly for your school, and then how people can reach out or learn more. I'm sorry, George, go ahead.
Yes, right. The next cohort that will start the program will be in September this year, towards the end of the month of September, and the applications are open. Students can apply for the program if they want now. As I said, there's no interview, but they have to submit a form with their intentions, with their portfolio of expressions, what they want to do, what they expect from us as well. And we are open to any questions. If they want to send us questions, an email, with their questions, I would be more than happy to answer to their emails. But the next one is in September this year, towards the end of September, and the next one then will be in April 2023. We have 2 intakes per year.
Rebecca, go ahead.
Okay, application deadline, end of August to start the program in September. Then we have January, so application deadline for that one is effectively in December. So effectively you have time, and then we also have May and September intake. So basically get it in by the end of August, and I would love to welcome you in September. Jim.
Well, we have rolling admissions. So when you submit your application, we attempt to process it within 2 weeks. Now, that is submit the application. The application is a process. You have to get some references. We ask for a reference if you are working in a company. We ask for a reference from your boss, your manager. One of the reasons we do this is we know that an MBA program is a very intensive process. So having somebody that is bought in at your workplace saying, yes, we want you to get this extra thing is part of it. You don't have to get a recommendation from your boss, but you have to have 2 recommendations. Our next one is August 5th to start this fall. And then we have another intake in April where that application deadline will be at the beginning of March, end of February. And so it is rolling admissions. You can apply at any time. And at that point, you can select which intake you're looking for. And we will give you that answer within several weeks. We also have admissions counselors that are available to take your questions and be able to answer all of that. So once you get started, you can get onto the website, download a prospectus, and you can indicate whether you want to be contacted by a person. We do understand that there are a lot of choices out there. So if you want to talk to somebody about it, you have that opportunity.
Thank you all so much for the lively discussion. Unfortunately, we do have to go, but I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you for your questions, and thank all of you for taking the time and joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye,
everybody.
Pleasure.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you in London.